Yes, to the person that asked in the chat room, yes, we're live. We're coming on. We wish we can come on earlier, but they will not allow us. What's up, everybody? It is the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. This is the Sunday night edition of the RCWR Post Show, coming at you live right now on August 19th, 2012. We just saw the 25th anniversary installment of WWE Summerslam. Man, we definitely are going to be taking your calls in the later part of the show. For those of you that were not able to see tonight's SummerSlam pay-per-view, first thing I want you to ask yourself is, why didn't you see it? And then second of all, after you get done hearing all the great fan reactions that we get from people that checked out tonight's pay-per-view, and we give you the play-by-play on what all you had missed, do yourself a favor, come up out those pockets, do your best to order this pay-per-view and or check it out when it becomes available on DVD. Thank those of you that are checking out tonight's show right now live on blogtalkradio.com and at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. We're also heard live on Stitcher right now. For those of you that want to get that head start and call into the show, you are more than welcome to do so, as we see a few people are already on hold, and we haven't even given out the number yet. You can get a head start, too, if you'd like. Call us at 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. Just bear in mind, we're going to try to get those that did not see the pay-per-view caught up first before we open the phone line. So we'll be taking the phone lines in the later part of the show. We want to try to go through each match as quickly as humanly possible. So we're going to try to see if we can start taking you all's reactions at around the 40-minute mark. So in the meantime, you just saw a fantastic pay-per-view go off. Just kick back, relax. Feel free to interact with those that are in the chat room right now that are talking about the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Shout out to our boy Philip, who's in there as always. Also shout out to I Love TNA Wrestling. Shout out to you as well. Let's go on ahead and let's talk about tonight's pay-per-view. And helping me out, I could not do this show solo tonight. I had to get a little bit of help, especially since it was a major pay-per-view, as it's one of the main top four from WWE. I had to bring in, of course, the lovely co-producer Tammy. Co-producer Tammy, how you doing tonight, my dear?
Oh, goodly, good.
Yes, we just saw the 25th anniversary of SummerSlam go off. Man, if there was a way to end the pay-per-view, that was definitely the way that you needed to end the pay-per-view. Brock Lesnar, I mean, for those that's just wondering, let's just go ahead and let's just address it right now, because we know this is probably the main thing that's on a lot of people's tongues. What happened with Brock Lesnar? What happened with Brock Lesnar? Well, it was a damn good match. We can tell you that much. We definitely want to just tease you with that. We want you to know everything that happened from top to bottom. So let's just go ahead and let's just jump right into it. So, co-producer Tammy, this time around we saw SummerSlam on YouTube, and I must admit, I was very impressed this time around with the turnaround of how many people were checking out the YouTube pre-show, as I had jotted down some notes earlier. I know I had shared a little bit of that with the folks that were in the chat room. Right before the start of the YouTube pre-show, we had got an estimate of about just under 50,000 people that had clocked in to see the YouTube pre-show. The highest that we would see it go during the United States Championship match between Antonio Cesaro and Santino Marella, we would see it clock in at that point at about 54,000 plus. And Antonio Cesaro, he did exactly what was expected, what was needed of him to do at that pre-show, which was come out of that match with the United States Championship. You just knew he was going to get that belt, especially if Asuka was going to play a role, and a role she did play in this, as it was a great match. Don't get me wrong. We would see Santino Marella. He would do his trademark moves. We would see him pull out the trademark sock, and he was looking to do the Cobra, but Antonio Cesaro, he did something I haven't seen done probably never since Santino has been doing the whole Cobra sock gimmick, which is take the sock, rip it to shreds. We'd see Santino just flip the hell out, and all of a sudden I guess he was having a little Hulk Hogan Jr. moment there as he was hawking out, and he started beating up on Cesaro a little bit, and then he reaches into his attire and goes into his rear end area and pulls out a sock. I'm like, wow, you actually have stuff crammed back there in the backyard, dude? What the hell is going on, man? And he pulls out another Cobra sock. He's getting ready to do it. He's getting ready to strike with that Cobra, Tammy. But then we see the lovely Asuka flaunt her beauty and is able to distract Santino for just a few minutes. And it was all that was needed for Cesaro to just come up from behind, hit him with that finisher. For those in the chat room, if you know what he's calling it, please definitely share. I mean, unfortunately, I don't get to see that much of Antonio Cesaro because I've been paying a little bit more attention to what's been happening with Damian Sandow. I know I love watching Cesaro work in the ring. I just don't get a chance to really watch him enough because I'm usually working on some stuff for the website. But we see Cesaro hit him with the finisher, and the next thing you know, that's it. He becomes the new United States champion. You know, co-producer Tammy, we were talking about this on the Saturday special for the RCWR show where we were offering match predictions on who all needed to walk away from SummerSlam victorious. And I said, you know, Santino, he's run his course as the United States champion. It's been long overdue time for new blood. And do you agree with what you saw tonight? Do you feel that the United States Championship is around the waist of somebody that could possibly make the championship be significant again?
Oh, I definitely agree. For the match, to actually have him pull a sock out of his butt, okay, really? I guess even that didn't help him win. So, yes, I do agree that it definitely needs to go on to a different person, which it did tonight, and that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Because he actually is much better when he's chasing a title or chasing something than he is when he already has it.
Yeah. Well, you know, honestly, Tammy, I like Santino. Don't get me wrong. He's got that whole slapstick gimmick that's going on. I love it. I don't have anything wrong with it. I love being able to flip the channel, and I see Santino do some silly little skit, and I love having a good laugh at the end of the day, especially if it's been a stressful day. You know how it is, whether you're at work, you're in school. Sometimes you love being able to kick back and see something silly happen on TV, especially if it's really funny. But to really just have there be any type of a belt around Santino, I mean, really. You know, Santino, unfortunately, he has no business keeping a belt around his waist. Some would argue that Santino having any type of belt is really just WWE's way of saying, okay, you know what, just sit on this for a little bit till we can figure out what exactly is going to happen.
Or what we need to do with him.
Exactly.
How can we repackage him?
Exactly. You know, and unfortunately, you know, Santino, well, let's touch up on the repackaging. That's just not going to happen. If it does happen, you know, I think I probably would be the one to cash in the next Money in the Bank briefcase. You know, if they decide they want to go on ahead and have Santino become repackaged. But Antonio Cesaro, new United States champion, smart move right here by WWE. Hopefully they can make this United States title become relevant again. This guy, he's got a nice look. He's got a nice physique. He moves damn good in the ring. I would have to say him and Damian Sandow, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, probably the best two guys that have come up the ranks on the SmackDown side of the roster within recent weeks. And, of course, we had also saw a backstage segment on the YouTube pre-show, which showcased Triple H in a backstage segment with referee Scott Armstrong. And, Tammy, this was probably one of the most significant segments of the night for the pre-show, because it had clocked in at just a little bit over 58,000 views, as everybody wanted to see what exactly was Triple H going to be saying here. And Triple H would say to Scott Armstrong that this match that he's going to be having with Brock Lesnar later tonight, it's not just going to be any type of match. It is going to be an all-out fight, and he demands Scott Armstrong to, no matter what, do not throw the match out on a count-out. Do not throw the match out on a disqualification, that this match needs to end either with submission or by pinfall. And Scott Armstrong, he is just basically nodding his head in agreement that basically, yeah, Triple H, whatever you want, it's fine, no problem, you know. And that's it for the YouTube pre-show. So we would see it at its strongest, pull in just a little bit over 58,000 views. Pretty much as soon as that Triple H piece was over, we saw people just drop off, and they were pretty much getting ready for the actual pay-per-view. And, of course, we saw a damn good video package opening for the SummerSlam event, as we saw vignettes of Brock Lesnar, Triple H, and they're talking about the whole perfect storm. Really great job by the production crew in the WWE, really selling that main event. If that was not what was going to bring you into ordering the pay-per-view, hopefully the rest of the matches that they had on the card might be something that could entice you, as the first match that we would see tonight would be Dolph Ziggler taking on Chris Jericho. Now, Tammy, I know you and me were kicking back, and we were kind of like, wow, so they're going to kick it off with this. But then I said to myself, well, you know what? What better way to open up SummerSlam than probably with two guys that in their own right are probably one of the best wrestlers. I mean, we have Chris Jericho. He's done so much in his career, and he will be the first to tell you many of the things that he's accomplished in his career. He will be the first to always tell you that he beat The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night. He will be the first to let you know that he became the first ever WWE Undisputed Champion. He will be the first to let you know that he's the brains behind the whole concept of Cyber Sunday, which just morphed into what's happening now with the WWE. Some could kind of credit Chris Jericho for that. So Chris Jericho will always be one to point out a lot of things that he has done in his career in the WWE. But then we have this up-and-coming wrestler here, Dolph Ziggler, former member of the Spirit Squads. That lets you know how far back I've been paying attention to this guy. How can you go wrong with this match right here, Tammy? And shout out to, I believe the guy's name was Darren Simpson. Oh, yeah, buddy, we got you loud and clear. We heard you. Honestly, if you want to irritate wrestling fans, especially Chris Jericho, Dolph Ziggler fans, you're not exactly scoring points when you sit up and say that Chris Jericho and Dolph Ziggler can't wrestle worth a damn. If that was really the case, I'm quite sure they would not be on WWE programming. So no wonder you only have 3 people following you on Twitter. I mean, you know, ouch, you know, Tammy.
Well, I mean, you really, as Jericho would tell you, he's the best in the world at what he does. And both of them are really great in their own right. Definitely put on a great match with a lot of action-packed, fun-to-watch wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, Benjamin Medellin, we aren't reading your comments right now, but we are paying attention to what's happening in the chat room as you all are interacting. So for those of you, if you happen to come across a knucklehead or two in the chat room, just let us know, and we will definitely kick them out of the chat room. Just flag them. We're watching it right now. But, yeah, because actually we were interacting with a lot of people on Twitter during the SummerSlam pay-per-view, and this guy, honestly, folks, we don't know where this guy came from. He wasn't following us. He wasn't following any of our friends. I think it was a situation where we had just put a tweet out, Tammy. I think we said something like, okay, they got Jericho, Ziggler to open up the pay-per-view. Okay, a little thrown off by that, but it's going to be a damn good match. And then all of a sudden, his tweet had just came out of nowhere. And I'm thinking to myself, you must not really be a wrestling fan if you're crapping on Chris Jericho and Dolph Ziggler like that. And, I mean, folks, this match, I was really thinking about how to rate this particular match, and I jumped out there. I said, you know what? I'm a little bold to say this, but I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars because, this was a damn good type of match. These guys were just going back and forth. I love the near-fall counters. I was just like, man, who is really going to get this? What exactly is going to happen with this match? And, folks, when it was all said and done, we saw Chris Jericho finally, when it counted the most, we saw Chris Jericho pick up the victory. And finally, he just can ride off into the sunset, patting himself on the back, knowing that when it really counted the most, and though he's had several matches that he should have won, he finally won an important one on the biggest stage of them all, which was at SummerSlam. It don't get any bigger than that. If you can't win on probably one of WWE's second most significant pay-per-views, then there's really no telling Jericho what the heck is up. You're like, Jericho, you can't win there. Maybe you really should hang up the boots. Tammy, your thoughts on Chris Jericho versus Dolph Ziggler?
Well, maybe, to be honest with you, maybe it is kind of time, for him to hang up the boots and, kind of take a look at things again and see what happens, but then again, you're versing him with an up-and-coming wrestler who is really bringing it and putting it out there night after night, and making sure that he's looking good, and, of course, his annoying sidekick, Miss Vicky.
Yeah. Cougar. Cougar. The thing that threw me off about that match, though, and I thought it was going to happen because I had said it on the Call That Match special. I was like, okay, I just couldn't picture Chris Jericho getting the win. Now, I said Jericho will get the win, but what I was expecting immediately after that, I was kind of expecting a WrestleMania moment between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho when they had locked it up, and at the end, after Shawn Michaels had beat Jericho, Jericho was kind of like, this was a really great match, and he went in for that hug, and it looked as if there was going to be a true sign of respect amongst these two guys, and then all of a sudden, Chris Jericho just needs Shawn Michaels in the balls, and the rest, it was on after that for real. I was kind of expecting somewhat of a moment right there, or maybe something kind of close to that. I was a little bit stunned that Dolph Ziggler, he just quickly just leaves the ring and he just gives Jericho that spotlight. I was a little bit perplexed that Ziggler didn't try to, attack him or whatever. And, one of the things that, really just jumped out at me with this particular match. Hang on a second here. What's going on? Oh, this guy right here? Wait a minute, hang on. We got something here from Zed. Hang on, folks. Come here. No, bring here, Zed. What's up? Which one? Oh, yeah? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. That's what I'm saying. Folks, very important. If you see somebody in the chat room that's disrupting you guys, you got to let me know. That guy named Wrestling or whatever his name is, bye-bye, you're gone. If you guys have any problems, you scroll up, you look at Infinity One Productions, very top one. If you see anybody in the chat room giving you guys a hard time, let us know, okay? quickest way to get our attention, you can interact with us on Twitter. We're at Infinity1Prod. Make sure you guys let us know what's going on, because we don't want you feeling alienated, feeling like you can't interact and talk about the pay-per-view. This is what we're talking about. And, that whole talk about saying somebody's queer and going all through a list of wrestlers, dude, do that on some other time, on some other night. We're talking about the 25th anniversary of WWE SummerSlam, okay? So, Zed, thanks for that little heads up, man. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to the pay-per-view now that we got that jabroni out of the damn chat room, and we are watching you guys. We're watching some of y'all's comments. Y'all are saying some pretty good stuff. So, coming up, so after the Chris Jericho match right there, of course, we got to talk about what all had transpired next, as after that we had saw Josh Matthews, who was interviewing Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. And, Tammy, this was a really cool moment right here, as Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, they had a little bit of playful words with each other. They were just really proving to me why they are such a awesome pair together, as we would see Brock Lesnar proclaim that this fight, it's a fight that Triple H will not be able to win. And Paul Heyman just immediately just bounced off of that and said, hey, Triple H, if you aren't down with that, well, we got two words for you. And their two words were tap out. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. It's on right here. Second match, we had Daniel Bryan take on Kane. And this match, Tammy, I called it perfectly Saturday. I said expect for Daniel Bryan to maybe kind of play that rabbit card and maybe kind of feel a little bit intimidated as he is in this match against Kane, as he really doesn't want to have anything to do with Kane. Maybe he's going to try to do a little bit of, running around, try to get the wind out of Kane before finally going in on the offense. And that's exactly what we kind of saw for a little bit before Kane sat up and he just started coming at Daniel Bryan with the power moves that Kane always knows how to do. But Daniel Bryan, brilliantly, he just started using his brain after he saw his speed, agility wasn't quite working out in his favor. We would see Daniel Bryan at one point in this match, we would see him basically pimp slap Kane. And, Tammy, this just pissed off Kane as he just started flying off at the handle on Daniel Bryan in the corner, and the referee came extremely close to disqualifying Kane. Immediately after that, we would see Daniel Bryan, who was able to take advantage of a very hot-headed Kane. As soon as the referee had came in there to intervene, we would see Daniel Bryan quickly go on the offense, and pretty much he was able to get a victory. I believe it was by a roll-up pin. What was your thoughts on this much-needed win for Daniel Bryan right here?
Well, considering, he changes his yes, yes, yes to no, no, no. Well, I guess tonight was the yes, yes, yes again, because he actually pulled out the win from his apparently mentor. Actually, it was a very good match. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, and Daniel Bryan is quite white hot with the fans right now, so that was awesome.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the segment. In the after the match when Kane was looking like a bull in a china shop, trying to look for Daniel Bryan to get redemption.
I kind of like that moment too. That was a really hilarious moment for me because I see Kane in the backstage segment, and the way Kane was just rampaging through stuff. I mean, he just kind of act like he got dumped by some hot chick or something, and he, it was kind of like Kane just lost the best piece of ass he ever came across, and he was just tearing the place off, looking for it. He was like, because I mean, if you really think about it, you kind of play it back in your head, because it went by so fast. But I guarantee if you DVR it, it might sound a little silly what I'm saying to some of you folks. But if you have it on DVR and you play it back, it actually did kind of look a little silly when you think about it. Because Kane is just going in the backstage area, and he's like, Bryan, and I'm like, dude. calm down, you know. It wasn't a girl. You didn't get dumped, you know, chill. And poor Josh Matthews, who always somehow is able to trend on Twitter, and it seems like the only time Josh Matthews trends on Twitter is when he is getting beat up by somebody really bad. And in this case, we would see Josh Matthews in what was probably a bonehead move, okay? Very bonehead move. I mean, he walks up to Kane, okay, trying to get thoughts. You know, that's not exactly the right time to do commentating or question the big red monster who's like, where is Daniel Bryan? And Josh Matthews tells him, well, he's already left the arena. And we just see Kane just fling Josh Matthews into some debris or whatever. And we're like, wow, okay, that's definitely going to have some type of repercussions right there, because Kane just put his hands on a WWE official, and sure enough, later on in the pay-per-view, we would find out that AJ Lee, the new Raw general manager, for those of you that might not be paying attention here, she sat up and she would reveal that those actions caused by the Big Red Monster have serious consequences, as she's going to be dealing with him tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. But Tammy, brilliantly, I just love the fact that Kane and Daniel Bryan, their program is going to continue, because I just had this weirdest vibe. And I guess it was the booker side of me and the writer side of me that was looking at this match initially, and I'm saying to myself, this can't be just a one-off match. Daniel Bryan needs somebody to work with for maybe the next 2-3 months. Who better than Kane? But for that first strike, I just felt that Daniel Bryan definitely needed to get this win. And I just love the fact that their program is going to continue. Kane, he proves to me time and time again that he can have a damn good match when he's paired up with the right person. So I actually don't mind seeing Kane and Daniel Bryan lock it up again. I just want for the storytelling to definitely be on point.
Agree. Definitely agree. With the story, they can do so much with it, you know, and with Daniel Bryan being so, you know, so hot right now, it's just when Kane is paired with the right person, and Daniel Bryan, who actually, depending on who he's paired with, is depending on how good of a match he has, I think.
Yeah. And Edward, AGC8710, I'm sending you the link right now to the chat room, so feel free to jump on in there, my friend. Yeah, but moving right on along now with the rest of the card, you know, another cool moment that we had saw was our third match, which was Rey Mysterio taking on The Miz for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, and we would see The Miz retain the title in this. Tammy, I definitely want to pick your brains on this one. I know you're somewhat of a Miz fan. You definitely have been liking this new Miz we've been seeing in recent weeks that's returned. What was your thoughts on this match, seeing Miz retain?
Well, he looks like he's matured for sure. New facial hair, you know, just all about different look about him, almost to the point a different wrestler. You know, just a different aura about him, and he's just so much more grown, so much more, I don't know, the wrestling seems better. He actually even seems more mature and more on point than he did when he had the WWE title.
That says something, don't it? I mean, when you really think about it. I mean, just this time around, he just seems like he's got more of a, I don't know, he just seems like he's at full circle now, you know?
Yes.
He's just really coming off that he is just, he's more, I don't want to say domesticated because that sounds like a very bad word, but I guess I would just have to.
He's definitely matured.
He's definitely matured. It's definitely a different Miz when we compare it to when he was a WWE champion. This Miz is definitely something that just kind of has me saying now, okay, he's not quite as obnoxious as he was before. He still is arrogant, but it's a mature arrogance. And, I don't know, maybe that time that he was away from the WWE, maybe that actually kind of gave him a little bit more time to maybe have some reflections on how he needed to change himself and be looked upon better by WWE management and upper management, talent. I just really like how he was coming off right here, and I definitely love the fact that he was able to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Sorry, Rey Mysterio fans. I know I'm a Rey Mysterio fan, but honestly, I can't say it enough. I just don't trust Rey Mysterio right now. I just cringe every time I see him in the ring. I hope that he doesn't blow his knees. I'm just freaking out every time I see him wrestle. Nowadays, for me, when I watch a Rey Mysterio match, to see Rey Mysterio come out of a match and he's not injured, I say, whew, and then I go, okay, that was a good match.
Well, honestly, even tonight, the Batman attire didn't help him. Maybe he should have gotten that little knee brace that Batman had so he can protect his knees a little bit there.
I know you didn't just go there. You a trip. Anyway. Moving right along now, we saw a backstage segment with Eve and Teddy Long, who were giving nothing but compliments for AJ Lee, as they feel she's been doing a pretty good job as the Raw General Manager. Just soon after they leave, we would see CM Punk, who's right outside the door of the Raw General Manager, and he sucks it up. He goes into her office, and he pretty much tells her in a nutshell, look, I really don't like the fact that you're putting me in this match, a triple threat match nonetheless, where I don't even have to be pinned to lose my WWE Championship, really feeling as though AJ was just doing this out of spite, getting payback from him not accepting her marriage proposal a few weeks back on Raw. Well, AJ Lee, we would see she would go into this weird trance and, not even acknowledge him, as CM Punk is just going on and on talking about respect and how, hey, maybe after he wins his match tonight, maybe he will have that long-awaited, deserving respect that he feels is in his due as he leaves her office from there. Next match, we have Sheamus taking on Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. Tammy, you and me were watching this match very closely, and I know as soon as this match came on initially, I said to you, okay, you know what, this is the part right now where I go take a leak, and I go grab me some more beer, and I go walk the dog or something, because this match is probably going to be a snoozer. I didn't end up walking the dog, but I did go get me some more beer, and I come back, and I came in right when things just started to pick up, because I was expecting, like the other encounters, that it was going to be a slow-paced type of match. Well, this time around, Tammy, this match, surprisingly, and I know you don't like Alberto Del Rio, but surprisingly, this match actually ended up being better than their previous encounters. Wouldn't you agree, or would you disagree?
I would actually agree that it was better than most, but then again, when you work with Sheamus pretty much tends to make quite a few of his opponents look very good. Sometimes he has to try a little harder than others, but he actually made, well, let's say that Alberto Del Rio did put on a better match than usual. But with him, I have a feeling that once you kind of take away the clothes and the nice cars, he's just really bare. Yeah. Well, I don't know. If he keeps wrestling the way that he's wrestling right now, Alberto Del Rio, I don't know, man. Maybe he can, under the right type of writing, maybe he can have a little bit more longevity as either a WWE champion or a World Heavyweight champion. I mean, him and Sheamus, they were really tearing the roof off tonight. It was probably one of the most impressive encounters for Sheamus versus Del Rio, and I know I personally had said it
on Twitter. I said, man, and I could just remember vividly their last previous encounters. And I was able to honestly look at this match and just take it for what it was at first before comparing it to the other encounters. And I was able to really just walk away from this match saying, okay, this was definitely a good match, probably maybe 4 out of 5 stars, rather. And this match, it definitely, when you compare it to their last previous encounters, it was definitely the best of. And it's so weird when you think about it, because the other times that they've been hooking up, even when you tack on what they did tonight, there hasn't been any type of gimmick matches involved. It's just been a straight-up singles match. So I'm now saying to myself, okay, we just saw Sheamus retain. And for those of you wondering, no, Dolph Ziggler, he did not try to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. That was a little bit of a shocker right there. Tammy, I definitely want to pick your brains on this. Do you think maybe WWE, they maybe missed it on this night? Maybe they should have had Dolph Ziggler cash in the title tonight, or do you feel tonight wasn't quite the time?
I think more that it wasn't quite the time. I have a feeling that there might be something to be said because of the two separate shows, possibly. But I just think that it just wasn't the time. I think that maybe there needs to be some kind of either rematch and, for him to pick up the win, or, just maybe at one point there needs to be some type of a triple threat match for, him to just own it.
And who are you saying needs to own it?
Ziggler.
Okay. So you would like, so correct me if I'm wrong, you're telling me you would like to actually see Ziggler try to do a noble thing and cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase at a pay-per-view where it's going to be in some type of a triple threat match? You don't want to see him do like the other Money in the Bank winners have done, and they have just taken whoever the champion is off guard at their weakest and get the win that way?
Right, exactly. Because honestly, that proves not only noble but his skill. And he's actually very good at what he does.
So you want to see him take the noble route?
Mhm.
I don't know, Tammy. I think that's where you and me disagree. I want to see Dolph Ziggler. I mean, because, first of all, let's just think about it. Let's just really think about it here. His Twitter handle is Heel Ziggler, okay? So, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at how he's been operating. Dolph Ziggler being noble, I just don't see that happening. There would have to be some really interesting circumstances to make Dolph Ziggler go babyface. I just don't really see that happening anytime soon because he just works so damn good as a heel. Ziggler needs to cash in that briefcase on a weakened Sheamus or Alberto Del Rio. I just have this weirdest vibe that we were supposed to see Dolph Ziggler become the World Heavyweight Champion tonight, and I bet you some money that before this week coming up is out, we are definitely going to be hearing from very reliable sources that WWE management were seriously thinking about putting the title on Dolph Ziggler. I think they're probably going to have the payoff be at Night of Champions. I think they're going to flirt with that. Maybe they kind of looked at what was going on tonight as a little bit too obvious, but definitely the right ingredients for Dolph Ziggler to possibly cash in the briefcase tonight. Should be very interesting to see what's going to happen next. Well, coming up from there, folks, talking about the WWE Night of Champions, we would actually see a plug for that event, and it's going to be coming our way live September 16th, only on pay-per-view. And, of course, we here at the RCWR show, we are definitely going to be covering that pay-per-view and be getting your reactions to that event. That's probably going to be one of the best pay-per-views of the year for WWE, and it's going to be in front of a Boston, Massachusetts crowd. Tammy, you know how that Boston crowd is when it comes to their wrestling. And we would also get a recap of Triple H's conversation with referee Scott Armstrong re-air during this time period. As coming up next, it was the Tag Team Championships on the line as R-Truth and Kofi Kingston took on the Prime Time Players, Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. Tammy, it seemed like the writing was on the wall. It seemed as if this was a no-brainer that tonight was going to be the night that finally, the Prime Time Players, Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, were going to step up in a big way. It seemed as if finally they were going to get their run as the tag team champions, but that would not be the case. And what I felt was an upset. We would see R-Truth and Kofi Kingston retain their championships. Tammy, your thoughts on this match?
I actually think that for the Primetime Players, they really are, I mean, you would hope not, but, you know, their manager just kind of got let go. So maybe they're, in a way, getting, you know, a little flack from that. I think Kofi and R-Truth could actually go back to doing singles. Actually, I would hope that they do, because in their own respect, they're actually very good wrestlers and great mic skills for both of them.
Yeah. You know, I looked at this match, and I got to admit, you know, I'm not going to hold any punches. I was very disappointed in how this match had ended up. And for those wondering, was it because you had finally lost one and, you know, during the course of the pay-per-view? No, it wasn't because I had finally missed one. I was upset at this match because let me tell you how I looked at this defeat from the Primetime Players. I looked at this defeat that they suffered from R-Truth and Kofi Kingston as a sign that they are not quite out of the woods yet from one Abraham Washington, who just made his headlines when he was with the WWE. He made those raunchy comments about Kobe Bryant, Lakers, and he made other comments, and he said something about Linda McMahon. He was actually giving her praise, rooting her on. This guy would get dismissed, and it's just been creating just a whole bunch of talk is what I like to call it. And, Tammy, I just looked at what had happened with Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, and a lot of people, it's probably about 60-40. You probably got about 60% of folks saying, yeah, I like the Primetime Players. They're actually pretty good. But then you have that 40%. They just can't stand them. They can't stand Titus O'Neil barking like a seal. You know, they can't stand all that crap. But, you know, this really looked like the moment where they should have got this, and the fact that they didn't, it just says to me that perhaps WWE is somewhat considering them to be in a bit of purgatory right now because of what had happened with AEW, and I just kind of feel it's a little bit unfortunate because I just feel that R-Truth and Kofi Kingston, they have just run their course as tag team champions. I just feel that it's really time for new blood to step in. And, I mean, look at what we've been seeing within recent weeks. When you go over on the SmackDown side, we've been seeing Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex. They've been stepping up a little bit more as a tag team, trying to get attention, okay? We got the Usos. They aren't really being utilized like that, but we got them floating around. We got Primo and Epico. They haven't really been making too many appearances as of late, but, you know, slowly but surely, we got the tag team division. It looks like there is some type of a rebirth that's in process. And, you know, what better way to really kind of jumpstart that new era for the tag team division than to put the belts on Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, as I just kind of felt that it really would have kind of opened up more tag teams. It probably could have, if done right, because the writing, I could just see it. It could be just beautifully be executed if they do it right. They could have a really cool opportunity here where people you wouldn't even imagine would team up to try to take these copper belts off of them.
Mhm. That's true.
I don't know. I mean, hopefully they can make it right at Night of Champions. And for those of you wondering, or those of you not really familiar with Night of Champions, again, it's going to be coming up September 16th, Sunday, live on pay-per-view. Every single championship is going to be on the line. And Tammy, I just wonder, does that mean that the Divas title is going to be on the line too, or are they going to really give that the ultimate insult and disregard that?
Well, with the Divas title, the Divas division really needs some. Matter of fact, it really needs a facelift. I hope that they revisit it because it really does need to be looked at as far as who they put the belts on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we shall see. And our next match, we had John Cena versus Big Show versus CM Punk. Did I get all those names right? Because I'm feeling a little buzz now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure here. But, we had these three guys go at it for the WWE Championship, and this was a match where we already knew there was just no way Big Show was going to get this belt. And for those of you that were even remotely looking at Big Show to get the WWE Championship, I want you to do yourself a favor, and that is donate some money to a church or something for messing that up, because that is just a bad call. There is no reason to see the WWE Championship on the shoulders of Big Show, let alone have him be the Raw champion for a program that is supposed to be 3 hours. Woo! Those ratings are going to be hurting bad if he was to be the WWE champion, okay? So you already knew this was going to boil down to CM Punk and John Cena. Now, for those of you that are wondering, that didn't see this, the crowd was definitely pretty annoyed with John Cena is the best word I could use, Tammy, as they really let it be heard that they did not particularly care too much for John Cena. But when they saw CM Punk, they welcomed him with open arms. This match right here, it really boiled down to how was CM Punk going to retain. If your money was on CM Punk, then you, my friend, were definitely on the mark. It was just the way that the story was going to be told of how he was going to be able to retain, as it really, really looked like the odds were going to be stacked against him, and it was. Critical moment in this match, we would see CM Punk slap on to Big Show the Anaconda Vice. John Cena would follow this up with the STFU. They both have their submission holds on Big Show. Big Show, he taps out. The referee calls it. He's not really sure what to do, as it looks like both of these guys might possibly be sharing the WWE Championship. Well, to make matters all be resolved, we would see AJ Lee come down to the ring, and she would say, you know what, let's restart the match. CM Punk, John Cena, they can't believe this. They're looking on at AJ Lee in disgust. As soon as they would turn around, Big Show, he would deliver double choke slams to both of them. He would try to pin John Cena. Cena would kick out. He would then try to go for CM Punk. CM Punk kicked out. Big Show, why he is just now thinking about this, I don't know. I would have been going for it at the start and as many times as often, looking for the WMD. Now you're just going for it. He tries to get John Cena with it. John Cena counters, hits him with the attitude adjustment. But before John Cena could go in for the pin, CM Punk already came to, and he quickly tossed John Cena out the ring to pick up the pin like a dog picking up scraps at the table, and he would be able to secure the victory and retain his WWE Championship. Now, some may not like the way CM Punk was able to retain, but the argument could be made he did whatever was necessary to retain his championship. Tammy, do you see a window being left open here where CM Punk and John Cena could possibly go head-to-head, perhaps minus Big Show at the next pay-per-view?
Oh, yes. I absolutely do see a big window open because with Cena at the end of the match, he kind of looked like, what the heck just happened here? I'm not even sure, to be perfectly honest with you. So, yeah, I absolutely see a future match coming, whether it be at a major pay-per-view or, I actually see it coming to another match, absolutely.
Well, hopefully this time around it will be minus the Big Show. I think Big Show has run his course. They need to just go on ahead and they need to just let him be involved in some other type of program. It would just really be nice right now. Now, for the person in the chat room that was asking, Big Show is a 2-time WWE champion, last we had checked. He's also a 1-time World Heavyweight Champion. He's also a 1-time ECW World Heavyweight Champion. With regards to that ECW run, I thought that was his best run right there. World Heavyweight was a good run too, but I like what he did with the ECW one because that kind of really opened up a lot of eyes, I feel, and said, oh, he really is an Impact player. Let's go ahead and let's see what he can do on SmackDown. Moving right along, folks, we got to definitely go through the rest of the card here. Cool moment right here, and we definitely, before we go into the main event, and we're going to try to wrap this up as quickly as possible because we got a half hour left, but we want to dedicate that to you guys to call into the show and share your reactions. We want to just kick back and hear from you guys. So let's go ahead and let's wrap up the rest of this card quickly as possible within the next 7 minutes here. And, funny moment here, Tammy, we saw Maria Menounos, the extra host, who sounds like that Bam Menounos, whatever. And we saw, I did it all for the nookie. What? The nookie. What? So you could take that cookie and stick it up there. Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit. And apparently Fred Durst did not sit up and get the PG warning from WWE because we see Fred Durst as clear as daylight. And I actually rewinded and froze the image. I'm like, did I just see that? We see Fred Durst throw up a middle finger. And, Tammy, I'm saying to myself, wow, okay, well, glad that it's pay-per-view.
Well, as I hear it, that depending on where you were, they actually tried to block it out as soon as they caught that.
Well, no. I don't know how you saw it at your end, but on my end, that middle finger was clear. There was no fuzziness. There was nothing. You could just see the shine on his fingernail and everything. I saw it as clear as daylight. Yeah, good luck editing the heck out of that. Definitely, Fred Durst, you have been future endeavored. I doubt the WWE is ever going to work with you again. Why they did work with you in the first place, I'm still, I'm still traumatized by Fred Durst because, to me, if there was ever a dark time in the WWE, it was when The Undertaker was coming out on the motorcycle and he was coming out to Fred Durst. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. What? Keep rolling, rolling. Hands up. Tell me what you're going to do now. Keep rolling, rolling, rolling. And, Tommy, I know, you just kind of caught on The Undertaker, a little while back. I know you're probably saying to yourself, no, Undertaker, he didn't come out to that. Yes, Undertaker, unfortunately, came out to that, probably one of the most darkest days for The Undertaker's
I can
career.
see that.
And we also saw David Arquette. That was another dark day right there for WCW history, as unfortunately we have to acknowledge it. David Arquette, one-time former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. I don't know which is worse. They both are of equal value to me. And we saw legendary producer Rick Rubin, who was in attendance, and we saw Pierce Morgan, who was in attendance. We also saw a plug for WWE's next movie, which is called The Day. It actually looks visually stunning, looks like it's going to be a decent movie. I actually would not mind perhaps seeing an early screening of this movie. It looks promising. Definitely looks better than The Chaperone. Let me just say it like that. Poor moment right here, and we were definitely paying attention to you, the WWE fans, where we had saw the semi-main attraction of the night. We saw Kevin Rudolph sing his popular song, Born to be a Star, as they showed people who are WWE fans give their tout replies on the Titantron. We see them joining in on this event. We saw WWE Divas come out and try, and I use the word try, to help this man cut what was, in my opinion, a very struggling segment. As we saw Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, they were trying to dance to the music. We saw the Spanish announcers, they're trying to dance into it. We saw the ring announcers try to dance. We saw people in attendance who were probably just a little intoxicated, too much, trying to dance to the music. And Tammy, I just looked at this moment, and folks, you can't make this stuff up. We immediately were interacting with everybody on Twitter. We were paying attention to the Twitter feeds, and it was just really freaking funny. We had Kent Zorek on Twitter. He said, little bit of failed guitar solo by Kevin Rudolph, couldn't hear a chord. And we also had one fan sit up and say, even Dick Cheney thought that performance was cruel and unusual punishment. Hashtag SummerSlam. Let's read another moment right here that was pretty messed up. If you're going to do a guitar solo, it would help if we could hear the guitar. That came from Kerry Perry. One other reaction to this very poor segment comes from My Life is Wrestling. WTF with WWE. Divas aren't bitches. How dare you use them to dance and make them look like stupid women. Pathetic. And, you know, Tammy, I'm seeing this, and, you know, my girlfriend, she tells me I do a very damn good impression of Kenny from South Park. I'm seeing this, and I am watching Kevin Rudolph just struggle in this. And I'm saying to myself, wouldn't this have been better? You know what I mean? Because really, this is how he was sounding to me. Baby, you're a star. Don't you know you were born to be a star? Oh, baby. And I'm saying to myself, God, you know, I couldn't wait for this segment to end. I think it was probably one of the most low points in SummerSlam.
Definitely. I agree. I think they only use the Divas as eye candy for the bad singing and guitar playing that wasn't there.
Really horrific moment right here. I mean, I was traumatized. I'm like, am I listening to Kenny from South Park, who's a little bit intoxicated? I mean, what the hell is going on here? I mean, this segment, you know, and you had the brother. You know, as a black man, I felt bad for the brother that was next to Kevin Rudolph talking about some, come on, people. Yeah, come on, y'all. Come on, throw them hands up. And I'm like, no, there was no reason to throw your hands up. This shit sucks. You know, I'm like, really? And moving right along, luckily, it was the main attraction of the night. We had Brock Lesnar taking on Triple H. Y'all have patiently been waiting. For those of you that were not able to see this match, you know, this match, and I have been saving this analogy, and Tammy, watch how this is going to drop. Before the week is out, somebody that's listening to this right now, they're going to sit up and say, that is a very good analogy. I'm going to use that and make that be my own. Ha-ha! I was looking at this story developed between Brock Lesnar and Triple H. And Tammy, you know what this reminded me of?
What's that?
It reminded me of Rocky IV, okay? We have Triple H, who is Rocky Balboa, Shawn Michaels, who is Apollo Creed, and we have Brock Lesnar, who is the Russian. And we got Shawn Michaels, Apollo Creed, basically saying to Triple H, look, man, I'm a little bit concerned about Brock Lesnar here, man. This is a different kind of beast. This is somebody that you've never taken on before. You got to be careful, man, because this guy, he means business. And we got Triple H, who's like, this is nothing. I'll be okay. You're overreacting. What would happen? We would see Brock Lesnar destroy the heck out of Shawn Michaels. So now we got Triple H sitting up saying, I gotta get my hands on Brock Lesnar. I just gotta get him. I gotta represent. He's messing with my family. He's messing with my friend. He hurt my friend. I want revenge. The big payback. Okay, so we go into this match. The stakes could not be any higher. Tammy, I had one problem with this match: the opening of the match. Okay, and I know you talked about it a little bit. I want to just kick back and let you talk about it more because I like the way you had approached it more, and I like hearing your lovely voice. So just talk about that opening because we were thinking of the same damn thing when we saw this.
Well, yeah, I absolutely think that they pulled the page out of Rocky IV. I mean, as soon as I saw, what really hit it home for me is when I saw Brock Lesnar just standing there like Iron Face. And I thought, oh, my goodness, that reminds me so much of the Russian in Rocky IV and how much, thinking back on it, that it's almost like they did pull a page from the movie, as long as, when they did the intro to the show or to that match. Mm. Basically, the lights were down. They were standing in their separate corners, and honestly, okay, this person has just violated you, violated your family, broke your best friend's arm, and you're pretty much just standing there idle. I mean, you're ready to rip this guy's head off, to be perfectly honest with you.
Exactly.
So kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah. And we see Brock Lesnar. He's just standing there, and he's getting his little introduction. We see Triple H. He's getting his little introduction, and he has the nerve to throw his arms up. I'm saying to myself exactly what you said, Tammy, and I'm saying to myself, okay, you insulted my family, you hurt my friend. I'm not waiting for introductions. I want a piece of your ass right now. The two guys, they should have just, as soon as both of them were in the ring, they should have just went right at it. And I understand that probably Jerry Lawler had got fed those stupid lines that he said about Brock Lesnar. And for those of you that were not paying attention, Jerry Lawler, he said some stupid line about, Brock Lesnar looks a little intimidated. Brock Lesnar looks kind of not so confident right now. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell is he looking at? I had about probably 3 beers, and Jerry Lawler is talking about Brock Lesnar looking a little bit intimidated. I did not see any type of intimidation on Brock Lesnar as he was in the ring. So, yeah, it was obvious that somebody fed him that line, but I just thought it really wasn't even needed. If anything, it should have came a few minutes after the contest. Well, in this match, folks, the strategy of Brock Lesnar, he kept going for that Kamari arm submission move. He was trying to break Triple H's arm. And Triple H, he did everything he could to get out of that hold. And it was definitely an interesting match. It was a damn good match. It was one of those type of matches that, quite honestly, Brock Lesnar, he needed this win. If there was ever a time for Brock Lesnar to pick up a victory, it would have been tonight. This is the man that had made history 10 years ago in 2002 when he went into his first ever SummerSlam and he defeated The Rock to become the new and first youngest WWE champion. Here he is 10 years later returning to SummerSlam. And he needed this victory because if he did not get this win, Tammy, many people, even hardcore Brock Lesnar fans, especially those Lesnar fans that have followed Brock Lesnar, got hipped onto him when they first came across him in the UFC, they would have looked at this guy and been like, you know what, Brock Lesnar is a freaking joke. Brock Lesnar would pick up the win, much needed. We would see Brock Lesnar, I believe he applied the arm submission hold move to Triple H, and he just had him in the middle of the ring. Triple H, he tried to do his best. He had no other choice but to tap out, and Brock Lesnar would pick up the victory. But the true story would be post-match as Triple H, he's looking at the Los Angeles crowd, and he says emphatically, I apologize. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. And he just walks out the ring, and heartbreaking moment. He even goes out of his way to look at a little kid, rub him on the head, and say, I'm sorry, little man. And he just walks off, and you're left with that illusion. You're left with that image of Triple H just standing at the top of the ramp, feeling and coming off as though maybe his time is finally up. Maybe he isn't that damn good anymore. It is definitely a damn good setup for Raw Monday night, because this was a moment right here. Love him or hate him, I think we all can be in agreement. The Triple H from 10 years ago would have never tapped out to Brock Lesnar. There was probably, if you go back in the history books, only but a handful of men, and I do mean a hand. You can take your first hand and just, if you're lucky, maybe count up to 5 of people that have been able to make Triple H tap out, and Brock Lesnar is now included in that list. As now the question becomes, does Triple H just fade off into the sunset and take this defeat? Is the game truly done? Tammy, your thoughts?
Well, in the beginning, I was kind of wondering, at the end segment, it was kind of like, okay, what in the world is going on here? I mean, there's no talking, there's no nothing, and you're going, okay. But towards the end, you're like, okay, now I get it. I get what's going on here. Do I think he's done? No, not by a long shot. It's Triple H. I think he's just going to go and he's going to have his own little pity party, poor me, poor me, poor me. Then when he's done with that, he'll pick himself up, and then he'll make sure that he's back to the Triple H that you remember, that hardcore, this is what it is. And honestly, he somewhat brought it on himself. He's the one who said this match will only end by 2 ways. So
yeah. One thing's for certain: Brock Lesnar, Triple H, the seeds have been planted. Now there's going to be a rematch. Now it's just all about Triple H refinding himself, revisiting his career, finding out what it was that made him that damn good. And it should be a very interesting course over the next several weeks to see Triple H. I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe Stephanie were to make an appearance, Shawn Michaels were to make an appearance, Vince McMahon makes an appearance. I mean, could you just imagine the exchange of words between Vince McMahon and Triple H? I mean, Vince McMahon can be like, you're not the same son-in-law I remember a few years back. You're not the guy I was proud to see marry my daughter. What the hell is going on? I mean, great storylines, great chemistry that can just be happening on camera. But rest assured, folks, Triple H, he's definitely going to get a rematch with Brock Lesnar. You can count on that. Definitely a very good, strong SummerSlam pay-per-view, despite a few little yawn moments in there, especially with that Kevin Rudolph guy. I definitely would have to give this pay-per-view I would give it a modest 8, maybe a 8.5 out of 10. Tammy, what would you give it?
I agree. Definitely somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5. For me, the Kevin Rudolph segment was basically a WTF. I didn't think it belonged. And then, of course, my personal fave was AJ just skipping down to do the basically the start over for the match. I mean, really, she's the general manager of Raw. You are 25 years old. I expect you to act just a tad more grown up than that.
Ooh, laying down the gauntlet. Damn. All right. You right on the money though. You right on the money. All right, we went into a little bit of overtime. We thank those of you that have patiently been on hold waiting. We're going to take a brief, and I do mean a brief commercial break, okay? And we're going to come right back, and we're going to jump right into it. We're done talking. We want to hear from you guys now. So get ready. We're going to put the number out right now while we take a commercial break. Then when we come right back, we'll give the number out again. You can call right now, 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. It wouldn't be a post show without getting you all's reaction. So we're going to take a brief commercial break. We come right back. We're going to jump right into it. You're listening to the RCWR post show, now bleeding into Monday morning, August 20th, 2012, and a very good morning to you all that is on the East Coast right now. We'll be coming right back, folks. Hang tight.
Missed your favorite wrestling show? Need to get caught up? Listen to the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific. Get caught up to date on all the latest in WWE news with live fan reactions. Want to make an impact? Then check out the Thursday night edition of Impact Showdown Radio immediately after TNA Impact Wrestling at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern for honest analysis and the very latest in TNA news with live fan reactions as well. You can listen to both of these great shows live each week on blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR show and at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. We're also available on Stitcher, iTunes, Zune marketplaces using the keywords the RCWR show.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
All right, and we're back. You're listening to the RCWR Post Show live right now on blogtalkradio.com and at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines right now, give you guys the floor. Thank those of you that have been patiently waiting to be heard live on the air. We definitely want to get your reactions on how you either enjoyed or disliked tonight's pay-per-view. So let's go ahead. Let's give that number out again. 646-478-3525 is the number to call. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. Just kick back, smile, and dial. When you come on, just let us know your first name and where you're calling from, and then proceed. Let's go ahead and let's go now to caller from the 210 area code. You're live on the air, my friend. Caller from 210. All right. Caller from 210. Not really sure what happened right there. All right, let's continue now. Let's go with our good friend Dave. We know Dave has been patiently waiting. Dave, you're live on air, my friend.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, bro.
Man, I was almost had the perfect game. Brock kind of screwed me up on that.
yeah.
All right, I was like, oh, it was still a great. I think it was almost even a 10 for the show because, I mean, top to bottom, besides that little segment with that whole singing, trying to sing, I mean, it was a really good pay-per-view. I mean, if you didn't spend the money for it, you really missed out on some great matches.
Yeah.
And one thing I thought was funny, the two guys that have had the longest losing streak in the WWE, dating from Chris Jericho was before WrestleMania. But with Daniel Bryan, it was right from WrestleMania. Those two guys both lost every pay-per-view match they've been in. And tonight they both finally picked up a win. So I was glad to see that. And, I mean, I think the best match had to be, match I enjoyed the most was probably Brock and Triple H.
Mm.
It was just very, it wasn't like a wrestling match, because they didn't say it would be. It was more like you're watching a fight.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on there. It was definitely a fight, hands down. And I love how they kept referencing the UFC, especially with that, what they consider would have been an illegal blow by Brock Lesnar to Triple H early on in the contest. As they say, if that would have happened in the UFC or anywhere else, that would have been a point deduction.
I enjoyed how they did that match, but also some of the other matches they had. Sheamus and Del Rio, they had a good match. Just the way they ended it, kind of controversy. So hopefully it's looking like if I have another match, I really don't want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the tag match, it was an okay tag match. I did pick R-Truth and Kofi to retain, but I'm not really a fan. Their tag team division is just, to me personally, is dead.
Yeah.
They have nobody, unless they put the new Magic Mike crew against them or something, but...
Yeah. What would you make of that whole Triple H at the end there? You definitely agree that, now when you really think about it, that definitely not only did Brock Lesnar need to win, but just the way Triple H had ended the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Just what's your takeaways from all that?
I think they're making it, trying to sell it more than it actually is.
Mm.
I think what could end up happening in a scenario that I see is they come out and say, you're not the same Triple H who, like Vince McMahon, like you said, come out. You're not the same Triple H who bashed me in the head with a sledgehammer. You're not the same guy who broke JR's arm.
Right.
You're not the same guy who ran over Stone Cold. We want the old, like they did with Stone Cold back in the Alliance days. We want the old Triple H back.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who would do whatever he could do to win the WWE title.
Yeah.
And we didn't see the sled. You would think that was Triple H's, best tag team partner with a sledgehammer. So many great matches with Triple H basically busting out the sledgehammer every time.
Yeah. I agree with you, Dave. Yeah, I agree. And that for those of you in the chat room, the guy that's talking right now, that's Dave. That's offering his analysis on what all had been happening with that last match. You all know my voice when you hear it, so why are you getting me and the other guy mixed up? I don't know. It's definitely going to be an interesting Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, though. So, but with regards to your SummerSlam rating, I think you say you were giving it a 9 out of 10. What were you giving it?
Yeah. It was a good. You had good wrestling, which you're going to get at a pay-per-view like this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get for a minute in the WWE title match. Everyone was thinking it. I'm sure, no, don't give us this ending. When they had the double submission.
Yeah.
I know it's crossing everybody's mind, oh crap.
Yeah.
But we got a clean ending to it.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we needed. And Punk, like I've said before, is I see Punk holding the belt all the way to the Rumble, then dropping it to The Rock. And then Cena winning the Rumble in Part 2.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Do you think Brock and Triple H will be a while before they get in the ring again? Or do you think we could see as early as Hell in the Cell? I could see more WrestleMania than anything.
And when's Hell in the Cell?
Yeah, that would be a great match, I think.
Wait. Are you saying Hell in a Cell pay-per-view or next match see him in a Hell in a Cell?
Well, the pay-per-view, I think, isn't it still a pay-per-view they have Hell in a Cell?
I thought there was, unless they got rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know. They're dropping them at left and right, so who knows?
Yeah.
But I could see me personally WrestleMania, but I would love to see them in a Hell in a Cell at the pay-per-view or whatever.
Let's go ahead and answer that question of yours right now. And, Dave, thanks for staying up with us. We always appreciate it, as always, bro. And for those of you that would like to call in and share your thoughts on the pay-per-view, you still got a little bit of time before we wrap it up. We're going to be going off the air in about 10 minutes. Tammy, I'll let you go on ahead, and I'll let you chime your thoughts on that. As you know, we know Brock Lesnar, he has that lucrative deal with World Wrestling Entertainment right now, where he is just working a hand-selected few of dates, and I would think by now they're probably almost going to be in the teens. They should be in the teens right now. I'm not really sure. How soon would you like to see Brock Lesnar come back? Lovely Tammy, you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Took a little. I was looking at the chat room. I actually think that would be a good thing. I mean, definitely you want us to save that for the next pay-per-view. First of all, it gives you more time in between so that you can stretch it out.
Mm. It all depends on Brock Lesnar, and I know right now WWE, they're trying to negotiate a new contract deal with him, somewhat similar to what's happening right now, if not maybe get more dates out of him. Honestly, if they can have something set up where it's like a chain reaction move where it's not so long of a period before we see Brock Lesnar again, that would be really cool. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Tammy, but wasn't there a little birdie that sat up and said Brock Lesnar could possibly appear on Monday Night Raw later tonight? I thought there was a rumor going back for a couple of weeks there. We don't really like talking about rumors, but I think in this case it was a confirmed date that Brock Lesnar was supposed to be popping up the night after SummerSlam.
Well, that would certainly make sense considering that he won the match tonight.
Right.
Whether or not it's a confirmed date, I don't know because I have not heard. As far as, her with my own 2 ears, but that would definitely be more than possible considering, the events of tonight. And, definitely you want to hear what he's got to say.
And for those of you wondering when Hell in a Cell is, it's going to be coming up October 28th. It's going to be happening at the Phillips Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. So, yeah, I definitely would not mind seeing Brock Lesnar and Triple H get it on in Hell in a Cell. If there was ever a time for Triple H to get a little bit of payback, it would definitely be right around that time. And I think that would actually be a brilliant move because September 16th, we got the Night of Champions. So, unfortunately, we really can't put a main event type of caliber match with Brock Lesnar, Triple H, too. We can't really have that overshadow all the belts at Night of Champions. The smart move would be to have Brock Lesnar take on Triple H at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view and a Hell in a Cell. That way they can come away one apiece, and then they can finally meet maybe one more time, winner takes all. Maybe then you can have it conclude at WrestleMania. That would kind of be a nice little payoff. I can kind of see that happening. Tammy, you agree, disagree, or you'd like to see something else happen altogether?
I don't know if it'll happen at a WrestleMania, but I definitely will think that it'll happen at a major event because I have a feeling that there's going to be more things coming up as far as WrestleMania and having, 1 or 2 really big events plus the main event might be just a bit much.
Yeah. And you know what? Before we go off the air, we got so many people that's in the chat room right now. We definitely got to show all you guys love. We appreciate all you guys that checked out tonight's show. We had a lot of people that had called into the show at the very beginning, but we have to make sure that we look out for that majority audience that were not able to watch the pay-per-view. And, Tammy, I know you and me, we were both on Twitter, and we were interacting with a lot of people. It turns out, surprisingly, there was a good number of fans that, unfortunately, were not going to be able to watch the pay-per-view tonight, whether it was because they had to get up for work in the morning or they had to go to school. or they had to leave out for their job. Unfortunately, there was a lot of people that weren't able to check out the pay-per-view, and we didn't want to just sit up and go overkill with the phone calls at the very beginning of the show. So we try to do our best, as we do every single time we do an episode of the RCWR post-show. We try to make sure that we get all you guys caught up that weren't able to see the event caught up first, and then try to dedicate at least the last 30 minutes of the show to getting fan reactions. And we had a lot of people that had called in. They were on hold. They were on cue. They wanted their voices to be heard, but I guess they really didn't like the fact, Tammy, that they, had to wait, a little bit. We can kind of understand that. Maybe that's something we can kind of work on in the future and maybe kind of set it up in a way where they're not really giving that many spoilers. Maybe we can just ask them, how would you rate the pay-per-view? And then maybe we can kind of go from there. I don't know. Maybe something we could entertain on a later RCWR post show. But in the meantime, we definitely, before we let you guys go, all you guys that's in the chat room right now, if you saw the pay-per-view, out of a scale of 1 to 10, we definitely want to hear your rating of the pay-per-view before we go off the air. At least that way, we can give everybody that's going to be listening to this on the downloads, we can give them a chance to probably make up their own minds and decide whether or not they want to buy this pay-per-view later this week or maybe just check it out when it comes out on DVD. So those of you that's in the chat room right now, out of a scale of 1 to 10, throw your number out there for what you thought of the pay-per-view, and we'll give you a plug right now. And, before we go off the air, we definitely want to take this time out to give the staff of Blog Talk Radio a shout-out. They took the liberty of showcasing this episode. They featured this episode as a weekend pick. We appreciate the love from you guys, as always. We appreciate you, the listeners, who checked out our weekend edition of the RCWR show, as we did a Call That Match special where it was match predictions for this SummerSlam pay-per-view. And Tammy, I got to pat myself on the back. I did pretty good. I only messed up in 2 matches. I said that Brock Lesnar needed the win, but I picked against him. But I kept stressing he needs to win. I hope he wins. But I was just under the impression because of the backstage politics, Triple H was going to come out on top. So I didn't get that one right. The Tag Team Championships, that's another one that I didn't get right. Everything else, I was on the spot. But we definitely got to give you guys a lot of props for checking out that weekend show. And we are already seeing the numbers coming in for this episode that we're doing right now. We definitely appreciate you guys showing the love. Let's see what's going on in the chat room right now. Let's see how everybody thought of the pay-per-view there. And let's see. I'm still waiting for ratings from some of you guys that's in the chat room right now. How did you think of the pay-per-view?
Well, it looks like a couple people said that says Purple Bear is giving it probably a 6 or so, kind of lame, until lining match at Lesnar and Triple H. One person was giving it a nothing less than a B-. Looks like True School Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only 2 I see.
Well, we got one more caller coming in, but we're only down to 1 minute and 8 seconds. I want to take the call, but I don't want you to feel rushed. We have the Tuesday night edition of the Wrestling Report. That's going to be coming you all's way this coming Tuesday night at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern. You can definitely check that out. We'll definitely want to hear your thoughts on the pay-per-view if you happen to be checking it out between now and Tuesday night. Mass shout-out to everybody in the chat room. Mass shout-out to True School Radio. Mass shout-out to our boy Philip Broom. Mass shout-out to Purple Bear Slim. Mass shout-out to everybody. In case I didn't catch any of you, if I missed somebody, we apologize. You know who you are. Mass shout-out to you all. Mass shout-out to everybody that participated in calling into the show tonight. We appreciate the love. Let's do this again this Tuesday night. On behalf of co-producer Tammy, the lovely Tammy, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders.
Till we hear from you all this Tuesday night for the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show at 11 p.m. Eastern. You all be safe and you all be kind to one another. Be sure to check us out in the iTunes and Zune marketplaces. Keywords, the RCWR show. And you can check us out on Stitcher for all your portable devices as you are on the go. Stitcher, it's the new and smart way to play radio. Y'all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you next time. Take care.